Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to Where Wendy Creates. Today we are working on our Halloween, and I thought we can go ahead and put together maybe 3 of these today. I have some ghost type gray fabric, maybe some oval eyes that I'll put up here, an open mouth. All right, so we've already put the double-sided fusible on our ghost. Let's go ahead and take it off. I do a quick slit and then pull it off, making sure the gummy part or the sticky part stays on. And these bigger sheets that I take off the back of the double-sided fusible, they're great for putting underneath my stitching. It gives it a little extra strength, then you can tear it off afterwards. But having it on there when you stitch allows you to not pull and torque the fabric as much or have it gather for you. So then we just got to figure out his eyes, and we can readjust that until we get to the ironing board and actually press him. Okay, so let's set him aside and let's do our ghosts. This guy is so big, he's really taken up some area. Do I want him sideways or straight up? This guy, how close do I want him? And again, once I heat this, those pieces are going to be permanently affixed and I won't be able to move them. All right, I think I'm okay with that. And straight up, straight down. Straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down. And then we can go ahead and press him solid to make sure he's down. You just don't want to rub the iron at first because you want the pieces to stay exactly where you want them to stay. Okay, so now we're playing with thread choices, and I really love all 3 of these. I think I'm going to nix this one. It just looks too bright. And honestly, this one looks too bright, but I think when you look at it, when it's not quite under the sun, it doesn't gleam as much, or under the lights. So either one of these would probably be perfect on that. We're going to take this one off the table. All right, and today we are affixing our beautiful ghosts, and I was still debating whether to round him up or not. I'm thinking I'm just going to leave him like this, but I want to keep the bottom of him free. So we're going to sew across here all the way up, and then I may just pull the threads on the bottom part so we have some raw edge ruffle. And we're going to go ahead and go around them all. I'm thinking black thread for the eyes and the mouth, but I'm not sure yet. As you saw, we picked that beautiful shiny thread for the ghost. So let's go ahead and start. And I might start on my small ghost right down here and go up and around. Okay, so let's get our ghost sewn. And we're going to start at the bottom of the small one. And I'm going to do this on a zigzag stitch. And I'm going to take my zigzag stitch down to a length of about a 2 at the point. And then I'm widening it probably to about a 3.5 as I go all the way around. So let's go ahead and get started. And I lock in my stitch. And now I'm going to turn up to a 3. And up to a 3.5. I'm just moving the fabric around as I go. And we get a jumping, don't we? go slow when your machine doesn't have the slow gears, but just try and gently feather that pedal. And feel free to stop, just like I do every ½ inch or an inch. Go ahead and stop, readjust your fabric, and then keep going. Ah, I'm so excited about my ghosts. They're so cute. And I know it's ahead of season. However, my goal is to make a quilt for every season. So that's what we're doing. We had the Halloween fabric on top of the stack, and we're getting to it. And this is a friendly, happy quilt. Okay, and I'm about 2 inches. We're going to bring it down to about 1.5 inches. I'm going to wire it down to a 3 on my width of stitch. And I'm going down to about a 2.5, down to a 2. And I'm going to finish out my point. Okay, and I have locked in my stitches at my point. Let's go ahead and pull it off. And we're going to trim our threads. I didn't say, but because the black fabric is my background, I am using a black thread in my bobbin. So let's see how the little guy turned out. Well, I could have gone, I'm now leaning towards, I should have gone with a white. But I still like him. It's shiny. He's perky. He's happy. I'm good with that. Now, do I want to outline his eyes and mouth in white, or do I want to go with black? Hit that comment button down below. What are your first thoughts? Should I go with black thread around the eyes and mouth, or should I do the silver kind of fluorescent thread, if you will, satin stitch, that I'm doing right now? Hit that comment button. And I think because I can't decide, I'm going to go ahead and do his mouth with this thread, and then we'll come back and decide for the eyes. Okay. So if I screw up this one, I can make this one the other color and perfect. So let's go ahead and pop him in here, and I'm down to a 2. And I just want to do about 2 or 3 stitches, turn them, 2 or 3 stitches and turn them, because we're working on a very small circle. And yes, I'm doing 4 or 5. That's A-okay. And if it gets off some from the mouth, I'm just going to call it drool. How's that? Okay, well, that was the worst circle I have done in a long time, but maybe that silver is looking like teeth. Wow. Now, ghosts don't have teeth. We all know that. However, he's imitating them and mimicking them. What do you think? Yeah, that's pretty bad sewing. But I still think that's awesome. It's almost like Jaws teeth in the middle of that hollowness. All right. So let me cut my back thread, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and try and do his eyes, but we're going to go a little slower and see if I can get them a little more accurate. Because I can explain off his mouth, or if you really don't like this, you can pull the threads, or what I recommend, if you do something like this, and I'm very happy with this, but if you're not happy with this, go back around him a second time, and instead of doing a 2 width, do a 3.5 width. Go a little bit slower. You're going to completely fill this over and wind out the circle a little smoother, and you're never going to know the wrong stitches were in the inside. So again, this is a 2 width. Just dial it up to a 3.5 width. Go a little slower. Go around him. He'll look perfect. But I am actually happy with that. And when I quilt, especially on my raw edge applique, I once heard that nobody is perfect. And we have all heard that story from quilters. If not, hit in the comment story. I'll tell you why we're not perfect. We're going to go ahead and go around here. So every quilt I make, when I make a flaw, when I make a boo-boo, if it's not integral to the overall quilt, I may fall in love with that boo-boo. So it's okay to not be perfect. And I always want to, when I'm lifting the foot and turning it, pivoting the fabric, I always want to make sure my needle is down, and I'm trying to keep on the edge, outer edge of that eyeball. And I know I already wasn't paying attention too much there, but like right now I'm off. Oops. Needle down on the outside, so when you turn, your stitches are going to overlap and not go outside of your object. Needle down. Needle down. Come on, I want to turn you again. Okay, I'm actually happy with that eye. I know he is very imperfect, especially on the top, but I'm going to let him be like that. And I'm not going to trim the thread. I'm going to bring it over to this other eyeball, and then we'll trim the threads at the same time since they're close. And we're just going to start locking our stitch. Needle on the outside. I don't want to cooperate. Okay. I know if I had smaller scissors handy, which I do own, it would be easier there, but I've got the smaller scissors over on the long arm because those are perfect for trimming my threads. And all right, now let's go ahead and pull him up. Woot woot! I've got a ghost. Okay, I am actually thrilled at his eyes and mouth more than I am about this going around his side. So let's take a look and tell me what you think. Hit that comment button below. Let me know your thoughts on my lovely little ghost. And then we're going to do big guy. Okay, and let's go ahead and sew around our larger ghost fellow. I'm going to start near the bottom. I'm going to put this on where I have the slit in the foot right where it's going to follow. And again, I want to not go across the very bottom. I want to fray this more. So we're going to sew right across the bottom about somewhere between a 1/4 and a 1/2 inch up. If I do a little more, I'm good with that. So let's go ahead and move my width up to about a 3. Well, let's put them on a 4 right now. And I'm going to lock in my stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around. Okay, needle on the outside, foot up. We're going to go across the bottom. That's probably more than a 1/2 inch there, but I am good with that. I'm not going to measure it or be too particular. Okay, now I want the needle on the inside, so when I pivot, that stitch is going to go over those stitches we just did coming up, okay? So coming up. So let's go ahead and go around the rest of Mr. Ghost, or Mrs. Ghost. of torque. Gotta watch out about that because it wants to pull in more fabric than just going over it flat. Let's back up a second. And that was actually a good example. When I went around the corner, it started taking more fabric than it should have. That is one of the reasons why when you cut out, say, just for example, a 14 inch by 14 inch, anytime you're doing raw edge applique, you then want to trim it down to a smaller size. So if your quilt calls for a 14 by 14, please, 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 I beg you, cut that fabric 15 by 15, give yourself some leeway, because you could bind it up, especially if you're doing a lot more than these ghosts, to where you're going to want to trim it and it's not going to be even. So do yourself a favor, whatever your quilt block size is, do at least an inch larger. I do an inch larger sometimes on all sides, so I'll do 2 inches larger. If I'm doing very intricate, very large piece with a lot of quilting, a lot of pieces. See how this wants to be a little bulk under the foot? Just raise it up, stretch it back out. I hate it when it does that, but it does that. That's why we use the wax paper underneath. Okay, and she is locked in. Let's pull her up, go ahead and trim the threads. All right, now we want to go ahead and sew his eyes. I fell in love with these, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do the silver, but we're going to go super slow and see if I can't get the mouth done a little more accurately. And this mouth is not going to be more accurate. It's just not easy when you're working with little pieces and you've got a camera in between you and the sewing machine. Again, when I lift the foot, I want that needle to be on the outside. Okay, let's see if we like that mouth. I like that mouth. It's inside of my black, but being inside is better than outside and missing it. And it gives more appeal, like, woo. Okay. How do you do a ghost sound? Woo. You see that woo coming out? I like it. Okay, now let's do the eyeballs. We're going to do them the same as the mouth, but I'm going to dial it down possibly back to a 2, I think, for my width of my stitch. And I'm on a zigzag. I'm on about a 0.5, 0.6. The Singer Heavy Duty machine, it gets a little cranky below 1. Down. Okay, let's trim my thread from the start. Let's see how she turned. I'm happy with that. All right, very, very nice. Now let's just jump over here, put my thread behind the foot, and do the second eye. And then we're going to trim all of our threads on the front and the back of the fabric before we call ourselves done. Put needle down, foot up, pivot. Okay, that needle down. And this side doesn't feel as smooth as the other one. I think I have to go around this side another time because I don't feel that I got him too accurate. He's a little square. Yeah, let me go around one more time. And I'm going to pull this one back to a 1. I don't need as many stitches. And again, he's on a 2 width, a 1 length. And all I want to do is the effect of more roundness at the bottom of his eyes. So again, there's a lot that you can fix with just stitching over this, and that was square again, over the same stitches. Okay, let's pull him out and take a look. We have the ability to pull threads and start over, but I am more pleased with art than most people, so I rarely do that. Okay, is he winking at us, or what's wrong with this eye? I'm thinking that eye is... I love this one, I love this one, I don't like this one so much. Think people are going to notice? And Jaws. Jaws mouth. All right. So what do you think, my friends? Here are my ghosts. All right, my friends. So now we have our 2 ghosts. They're both raw edge appliqued. We got a little buckling going on, as we talked about while we sewed. But on the bottom of this, I just wanted to real quick snip, 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 rough him out with my finger and show you what the raw edge can look like when it's frayed quite a bit. We just want to fray it up. So we're just taking the scissors and we're just snipping it up. We can make as many or as few snips, or we can just leave him alone, your choice. And we're just going to fray this edge. And the selvage edge doesn't usually fray too well, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're kind of going to find out what it looks like when it's that rough edge. Oh, that's looking beautiful. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so we're taking some of the threads out by just roughing it. Some people, instead of roughing it, they use a brush, hairbrush, or a comb, or some people wet it. I just like to run my fingers back and forth over it. Then I can pop it with an iron. It'll lay down. But we're looking for the real rough edge. So I could have even cut these pieces into another piece. And then we'll shake him out just a little bit. And what do you think? We've got that rough ghost at the bottom going for us, and that's what I liked. Now, if you're sending this quilt to a long arm quilter, I highly recommend maybe doing a couple of stitches to hold this still, or not fraying it until you get back from the long arm quilter, and then you can fray it up and make it look as beautiful as you want it to look, because sometimes they don't want to mess up your artwork and have to question you on, can I sew over this? Can I not sew over this? What are the special instructions? Me, I let my long arm person do it their way, and then if I have threads going over it, I'm not gonna fray that part, but I'll fray the rest. So I'm very easy to please, and I want my long armer to feel confident that they're doing the right thing all the time. Okay, so here we go. Our ghosts are ready to put back on the quilt in our quilt block after we trim them up. Yay! Thanks for hanging out with me today, my friends. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and hit that subscribe button because I have so many more of these tutorials coming up, as well as about a dozen quilts that we are going to lay out the fabric, cut up, and sew together. I'm so excited.